Hello everyone, welcome to our video tutorial about mail merge. To follow this video, you need to be with a letter, and the text should contain all the features of a letter. Maybe to do so, you can pause this video and you type some text like the one you see on this screen. On the right of this letter, we have the address of the sender, and then on the left we have got the general information about the recipient. Why we have this information here is that in official letters we normally have the address of the recipient on this side, so we shall use this general information as we go on with our mail merge, as we shall see. And with mail merge, this feature helps us to create a letter with the same content, for example this, then we send it to different recipients. That's why we have this general information. Otherwise, normally people tend to type a letter like this, then they copy it several times and create a number of pages. This is not the case with mail merge, which does it automatically. So now let's start with our mail merge feature. To do so, we go to Mailings tab, then we shall select Start Mail Merge. You can see a number of options, and the easiest is using the step-by-step mail merge wizard, so we click on it. After clicking, there is a pen that appears on our right hand side. So this is the pen that we shall use to create the letter or to take us through all the mail merge steps. On this wizard, we have the first step. It is to select document type. This wizard will ask you which document are you working with. If you're working with letters, you select letters. If it is email messages, then you select email messages, and so on. But because we are working with letters, then we shall leave this option selected as letters. Then the next step will be to go just below and we say next to start the document. So we click on it. And on the second step, we have to select starting document, and the wizard will ask you how do you want to set up your letters. Then you will either say I want to use the current document. The current document is this one that we are having, or you can say I want to start from a template. If you click on it, below here the wizard also will tell you what to do and the steps to follow. But because we are using this current document, we can go back and say use the current document. There is also this option you can click to see what is there. So after selecting the current document, we shall go to our step 3. So we click on next to select the recipients, but do not click on previous. If you click on this option, then we shall go back to our step 1. Therefore, let's click on this option. In our third step, we now have to select the recipients, as we can see, as per the wizard. And there are 3 ways to do that. One is to use an existing list. We should note that this information about the recipients will be in form of lists. So if you have an existing list, it means that you have that typed piece of information, and therefore the program is telling you if you have it, then you have to browse. That's why we have this. Otherwise, you can say, for me, I can get it from an email program, that is Outlook, provided by Microsoft. So you select on this option. But because we don't have a list and we don't want to get from this email program called the Outlook, then we shall select the option to type a new list. So we click on it. So when you click on type new list, the program gives us this option to create the list. So you click create. When you click on create, a dialog box is displayed for you. So from this dialog box, we can see we have this form of table. There are columns. For example, is title. It means it will represent the title of the recipient, first name, last name, company name, and so many as we can do it to check from the scroll bar down here. So you can see the number of options. But for our mail, I'm going to take it back once more. For our mail, we need only title, name of the person, name of the school, and school location. Therefore, we need to change some of these column names in order to meet the needs of our letter. And to do so, we shall move to Customize Column button. Then when you click on it, we shall have the names of the fields displayed. We already have title, name, we have first name and last name, so we shall change this company name and we replace it with name of school. So we select on it, then we go to rename. When you click on rename, we have to delete this from this box. So you can click inside, then use the backspace key to delete, and thereafter we shall type name of school. After you click OK. So you see company name has been replaced by name of school. Now our next step is to add this field for location of school. So we shall click on add button. Then we type inside location of school. Then after we click on OK, it will appear there. And now we don't need the remaining fields. What we shall do, we select on the last one, email address, then we go to delete to remove it from the list. So we click yes. Then you do the same. These ones will be automatically selected. Then you just go to delete and say yes. So we shall do this until we reach on address line 1. Now we are on address 1 and it is the last we don't need in our fields. So we delete it and say yes, and that's where we shall stop. After doing that, we click on OK. So now we have got the fields that we wanted, but however, if you want to add more fields, then you can go back still to customize columns. Then you select on the add button to add that field that you want. If, for example, you want this title to go below this first name and it comes on the second column, then you select it and you use this option for move down. For instance, we click, you can see title has now been moved just below first name. If you want it back, then you click it back. But if you leave it there, it will go under the under the first name in the column. So hope we have learned how to add field, delete the fields, and rename the fields. We can now click on OK to go back. So now we can see one of our columns is small and you would like to enlarge it. But before we do so, we have to enlarge the whole of this dialog box. So we move at the bottom corner of this dialog box to the right, click, hold, and we drag. to enlarge the window or the dialog box. Then after, we shall go to the column, then we click and we move so that we can have a visual of the whole column. So now we have to enter the details of our recipients inside this table that we have that will make up a list. And to do so, we have 3 names that we would like to use, but you're free to use any names of your choice. To start, we shall click in this column for title, then we give the title Madam. Then after, we go to the next one for first name, we click and we say Grace. Her next name is Namirembe, and she's from Guru SS. Which is located in Guru, that is the location of school. Now we are done with Madam Grace Namirembe. We would like to add the next recipient, so we shall go to New Entry. We click, then we shall add Mr. John Kakoza. He's from Kabale Vocation. Shall abbreviate it as VOC, and this is found in Kabale. And our next person is Emmanuel, and to do so, we shall also have to click on New Entry. And Emmanuel is Reverend, so we shall abbreviate as Rev. Here we have Emmanuel Chintu. He is from St. Stephen. St. Stephen's with apostrophe. This is found in Jinja. So we have all our 3 recipients, and our next step is to click on OK, because we have now typed, only that maybe you have to ensure that the spellings are OK. So we click on OK. When we click on OK, a dialog box is displayed. Now we are going to save this list as a database, and it is not stored as part of Microsoft Word, but it is a file known as database file, which you can even decide to use in future. So we are going to give it a name, list. So after typing list, we click on save. When we click on the save, another dialog box is displayed for us. And from this dialog box, we see here we can decide to say Namirembe will not receive this letter. So if you say, you can decide to uncheck. So when you uncheck, it means Namirembe Grace will not get, or the letter for Namirembe will not be generated. But if you want it back, you can click. Now this means all these recipients can get the letters generated for them. Then below here we have data source. It is showing us the name of the file that we have the lists from, and it is called list.mdb, MDB, which stands for Microsoft Office Database, and other options such as to sort, filter, find duplicates, and so on. Now if you have confirmed that these are the recipients whose letters should be generated, you can go ahead and you click on OK. After clicking on OK, we go back to this pane again. Now we can see the wizard has now taken us back to select recipients using an existing list which we have created. Now if we want to go back to the other list of ours, we can click on Edit Recipients List. So when you click, you see it takes us to the list that we created. So you can decide to do whatever thing you want, as we discussed before. Now we can click OK. Then we click on our next step, which is to write our letter. When you click the next step, still the wizard gives us other options. Now we are in need of creating letters for our recipients, but before we do that, we need to connect the information that we have in our database to this document that we have. And to do that, we need to deal with fields. These fields have to be placed in specific positions. Now to do that, our first field, we want it to go behind this word title. So we shall click there. And where your cursor is where you place that field. After that, we shall go to this option for more items. So we click on more items and this dialog box will appear. It shows us the field names that we have in our database. So these 5 fields are the columns within our database, and here it is indicating database fields. So we shall select the title. It is already selected, so we have to just click insert. But we have to note that all these options or columns, they contain information or details about our recipients. So from here, since the title is already selected, we click insert. Then after inserting, we click on close. So after closing the button or clicking on the other close button, we now realize we have 2 words, the first title and the second. If we click on the first one, we see that it has a gray background indicating that it is a field. And fields are always automatically inserted in a program by that very program. Then this one on the right, we just typed in why it was to help us to put this field on that specific position. So at the moment, we don't need it and we can delete. So to delete, we shall click on this endpoint. Then we use the backspace key to remove those ones. After removing, we want now to go and insert another field. So to do that, we click behind name of person. After clicking, we shall go to more items. When the more items come, we are now going to select first name. Now we have the first name field selected, but you have to know that now in this position of name of a person, we expect that a person is always having the first name and last name. Therefore, on this position in our letter, we shall insert first name and then last name. So since we have first name selected, we click insert. So when you click on insert, first name is inserted. We are not going to close. We now have to go and click on last name field. Then we also have to insert it. So after inserting, last name is inserted. There now we can close. Now in our document we have 2 fields, first name and last name. In the position for first name, we shall have a first name, for example, Grace. Then in this position for last name, we shall have last name, for example, Namirembe. However, we need to separate these two names by creating a space in between them. So we shall click in between the two fields. Then after you press on space bar to give space between the first name and last name. Like we said under title, this one was just to give us a specific position to place these two fields. So we don't need it. We click at the end, then we use the backspace to delete it. So after deleting, our next step is now to insert name of school. However, before we can insert the field for name of school, let us have a look at what will happen or what we have done so far. We want to see whether these fields have now been updated by information from the database. So we shall go to our pen and we use this option for previewing your letters. So we click on it. So when we click on it, we go back where there was title. We can now see it has been replaced by Madam. Where there was first name, we have Grace, and last name, we have Namirembe. Now we would like also to see whether these changes have also gone to other two recipients. So to do so, we preview using this option. We shall use this button. We click once to go to the next recipient. Then we shall come back and see. Now we have Mr. John Kakoza. Then we click once more. Then you can now see we have Reverend Emmanuel Chintu. All this information, we fed them in our database the other time. But if we look just below, down, these two options are not changing. The reason is we did not insert the fields. So that is why we need to first of all insert the fields in order to have these changes in our document. These are just the text that we typed ourselves, so we have to go back again to change this text into fields. So we shall go back. Please do not click on complete the merge. We have to go back, so we shall use this option for previous. So when you click on it, we shall see the other names have now disappeared. Then our next step is now to click on this position just behind name of school. Then we go to more items. Then our dialog box will once again appear and we shall select on name of school field. Then we insert and after we close. The field will get inserted in our document. Then from there we have also to remove this because it was just to help us know the position to put this field. So we click and remove by using the backspace key. The next is to insert this other field remaining for location of school. So we shall click at the beginning. We go back once more to more items. Then we select location of school. We insert and then close. Now we are deleting this text as well. So we click and use the backspace key. However, we don't need to keep on typing those texts in our documents. It is not a must. You can decide to always click within your document where you want these fields to appear, and then you just insert those fields instead of typing. We use those texts just to help you follow this tutorial. And remember that you should always use this option for more items. Do not type them the way they are, because they will still remain normal text but not fields. They only become fields when you use this option for more items. Now we have the last option here for inserting name of a person, but there is word dear, which is a salutation, and so here we normally need to insert the title and then the last name of that person. So we are going to click and place our cursor in front of word dear, then we go to more items, then we shall first of all insert title, then after we shall select last name and we insert, thereafter we close. Like in other options, we shall delete these letters. After, we also need to go ahead and create space between the field for title and last name. So we click in between and press the space bar. Now we can have a look at the preview of our letter by going to this option. From there we can see we have Reverend Emmanuel Chintu, school is St. Stephen and is from Jinja, and down here under salutation they say Dear Reverend Chintu. Reverend is our title field, then Chintu becomes the last name. So we can preview for the rest. Since we have already reached the third recipient, we can use this back arrows. Then we have other recipient of this letter. It is showing you recipient 2. We can also see the first one. We have Madam Grace Namirembe. Now that we have seen that on every letter we have got information concerning every recipient, we can now go ahead and we complete the merge by clicking on this option for complete the merge. After completing, we have one more step. If you want to print the letters, then you just click on this option for print, but now we just want to generate the 3 letters, so we shall click on edit individual letters. From there, since we want all, we shall say merge records and we select this option for all. Then after we click on OK. When we click on OK, let's see whether we have 3 letters. The first one is for Madam Grace Namirembe. We use the scroll button to check. Click, hold and move. So our second one is for Mr. John Kakoza. And the last one we can see is for Reverend Emmanuel Chintu. Now this is a new document. As we can see, it is reading letters 1. You can decide to save. If we click on this office button, can see we can save, we can print, and we can do other options. Now we have seen how mail merge works. We entered a number of details of these recipients. We have these 3 letters generated for each recipient without retyping or copying and pasting in different documents. So it is important to have this knowledge about mail merge, and also make sure you keep on trying as many times as possible to master it. And that's it for now. See you in our next tutorial.